Hey everyone, welcome to another walkthrough video of Excel Wonders. We're going to look at a tool called Birthday Tracker. As the name suggests, this is for any user who wants to track the birthdays of their friends, family members, etc. So once you open the file, you should arrive at this page, which is an overview of the birthdays you have on the present day, on that week, and on that month. Let's start with this page here called List of Contacts. This is where you can list all the contacts for which you want to track their birthdays. And you have here an ID, which is just an identifier, the name, the birthday, and then you have two fields, email and phone. You can actually manage these fields however you want. Right now it's email and phone, but you can change them. You can change them by going to settings. And in here, you can either select or deselect them. And I will, for example, turn off email and go back to list of contacts and email disappeared. Or you can change the label. Like, for example, imagine that phone, I want to call it phone 22. If I go back, it shows now phone 22. Let me allow these back again and let's correct these. The other thing you can do is you can define these fields as required or not required. And what this essentially means is that when you are adding a new person into the list, if you select, for example, email as required, it will not let you complete the insertion of that contact until you have added an email. For example, let me go here and put email as required. If I go back to list of contacts, I can add a new contact by clicking here, new contact. Let's put, for example, a test name. Let's select the birthday, let's say 6th of June. And let's try to create now. It's going to give me the error that I need to insert a value for email because I had set up email as required. But now if I add something like this and I try, now it's going to allow me to create. So I click yes, and here it is, test. I can also edit. If I click here and edit, I can, for example, change the name, save changes, yes, and it's now saved. I can reorder, or I can just sort it by, let's say, ID or any other field in the table. And here it is back at the end. And finally, I can delete. So let's, for example, delete this value. Yes, and now the table is back to what it was before. The second page I want to show is annual view. Annual view shows all the months for a specific calendar, and I'll show you how to edit the year of the calendar. And then it shows the list of birthdays that you have for that specific scope. Right now, because there's no month or week or day selected, it shows all the birthdays you have for that year. But let's imagine you want to see the birthdays of February. You double click on February, it selects February here, and then it shows only the birthdays of February. Now imagine you want to show, for example, for April. You double click on April, and now it shows only the birthdays of April. You can also look at it on a weekly view. For example, if you double click, let's say this week number 7, it shows the birthdays of week number 7. And finally, you can also select for a specific day. For example, if you select, let's say the 22nd of February, you double click on it, always double click. Now you see the birthday of February 22nd. It's pretty easy. Then in monthly view, you have a view of not all the months, but for a specific month. So you give it a few seconds while it opens, and here it is. April 2024, it shows the birthdays for April, and it says there's here two birthdays, one on the 13th and one on the 14th. If you want to change the month, you click here and it goes back. Now in February, we have 2, and here to go one more month. So you add months here. If you go all the way until the end in December, it doesn't allow you to add more because that's the last month of the year. And finally, in settings, there's a few things we can do. So here I already showed you what you can do with the fields, but there's two more things. You can actually select whether you want the weeks to start on Sunday or Monday, and you select the year of reference. So for example, imagine I want to set the year of reference, not of the current year, which takes the year of the system, but of another year, let's say 2028. If I go back to annual view, the calendar here will be for 2028. The list here will also be 2028. And also the monthly views now will be updated to show the months for the year of 2028. If I go back to settings, I can also change here, for example, for the week to start on Monday. If I click here and I go to annual view, you see here that every month starts with Monday. Now, if I go back and I change to Sunday and I go again to the annual view, now every month shows that their weeks start with a Sunday. And that's pretty much it. That's all you can do in settings. So ultimately, Overview, it's probably going to be the most helpful view of all. So if you go here on settings, let's put, for example, again in settings, you put current year. In overview, it's going to show you which birthdays you have today, this week, or this month. For these to show, you need in settings to have selected the current year. Because if you select, for example, 2028, it will show you 0 birthdays of today, this week, or this month, because the year of reference is completely different. And that's it. That's the birthday tracker.